Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone here at DevOps Summit Canada 2021. I'm really excited to be here today. It's been a wonderful year so far. Since last time I spoke in DevOps Summit Canada, it's been an amazing year. So I've been associated with the summit for almost 2 years now in a row. And this year, the experience track that I'm representing, DevOps Experience, is full of amazing content. And I'm very much excited that we all are able to connect across the globe with all of you and have a wonderful learning experience through this community of practice that we are a part of at Canada. So having said that, my topic for today is the convergence of a transformation mindset, how exactly the evolutionary mindset and revolutionary mindset function, and where is the thin line where it converges or it has the potential to converge. So who am I? I'm Shantanu. I basically work as a subject matter expert for Accenture's Advanced Technology Centers in India. I'm also a DevOps Institute ambassador and the chapter lead for India. And I'm a part of this DevOps Summit Canada 2021 DevOps Experience track. So apart from that, I'm very much reachable in LinkedIn and feel free to connect me. We have a lot of exciting events lined up, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you and know more about your experience of transformation and how exactly you have been actively participating in such stories and building up a better future for everybody. So let's get started with this discussion. The first point which I'm going to cover today is basically a quick outline of how the evolutionary model looks like. And to begin with, I'll just give you an outline how exactly this model of evolution is represented across the globe. So what we see is broadly two things. How is the evolution of landscape happening? So when you see in terms of the landscape, when I call it, how exactly is the applications changing over the period of the last decade? How exactly is the platform getting itself transformed? How is the infrastructure changing over the years? We all have seen that the platform of 2005 and 2010 is not exactly the way you see the platforms of 2020, and maybe there will be something even different to see in the year 2030. So we, from data centers, we have moved to cloud, and now maybe we are more progressing to SaaS-based model of doing, SaaS-based model of consuming applications. So the platforms and the way infrastructure was seen before has changed a lot, and so as applications. So it used to be a thick application, a monolith set, but now it's all microservices designed for containerization, and how exactly they're turning to be thin and lightweight, so that the experience at the end the customer has using these are much more faster and much more, I'll say, much more delightful. So the landscape has changed, and so does the things which constructs it. So the entire development model has changed as well. There are a lot of new languages, frameworks which are getting introduced day after day, year after year. So along with that, the way this whole delivery was done back 10 years back is also changing. So there is a different pace in that itself. That agility is because of how the customers seek this whole transformation. The appetite of the customers is basically blended into how this transformation pace should be fixed. I've talked about the evolution of platforms and such, and with all these that you see, be it apps, platforms, infrastructure, or the construct of doing this delivery, there are certain additions of risks as well. So with the blend of making applications thin, we kind of inherit the complexity of integrations, making the workflows a bit more complex in nature. So this whole landscape that has changed over the last 15 years, it is for the better. The transformed state that we are right now sitting on is something that a lot of great companies are leveraging on top of, but they have creatively managed, and they have somehow successfully done it very, very well. The risks, the factors that come along with it, how exactly they have to be done in a proper way. But when we come to the mindset, what we see is that, and typically I'm focusing on the evolutionary model mindset here. Uh, companies, or maybe I'll say business teams, technology teams, who are into a setup where I'll say the organizations are mid to large sized organization, they tend to have a bit of a reluctance in doing this rapidly. What are the creative excuses that typically I listen is our setup is heavily loaded and it's very complicated to change fast, or maybe we have done a lot of functional setups and integrations over the last decade and they are functionally very successful now. I don't see any need of building up new landscape for me. Or maybe I am okay to take it, but I have a I have a back. I will take a back foot because my integrations and workflows are very complicated. My applications are very tightly coupled, and I don't want to maybe risk breaking it because I don't know what kind of a new issue I will inherit by doing this transformation plan. And the technology stack, that's the latest one. The technology stack is very difficult, and I have to invest a lot in making my people upscaled or making my systems ready for handling that kind of a technology. So companies or teams who are kind of a bit reluctant in getting with the pace of how technology is changing usually fall into the starting category of evolutionary model. So they are clear that things are evolving and they have to change, or else they will start losing the whole scope of control that they have now. But are they ready to make it fast? Are they ready to make it rapidly? Is what they're still fumbling on. So and these are the mindsets that we typically listen across, right? Now, before we debate and before we go much into how exactly these are right and wrong, there is no definitive right or wrong here, but this is the general perception. We see, if you see the whole flow, what is enabling them. So the whole model of software development, from waterfall to the rational unified process that has evolved into, or I'll say the agile way of doing things, to DevOps and blending slowly into security, and then coming up with something called as DevSecOps. And right now there is a buzz like something called as next gen ops or new ops or maybe no ops. So these are all the things which is taking us to a landscape of future, a development model of future. But this is changing fast. And so is the definition of transformation. So earlier, the transformation was more focused on what are we transforming. Now the focus has come on a very rapid scale in culture. So if the culture is properly transformed, be it process, be it tools, be it the way anything else is, else is getting transformed, they could be taken care of. But the culture of how are we transforming it, transforming this becomes a key pillar. And that's where, and this is where we start getting, into the topics of value stream and how exactly they are going to benefit in the longer run, and how to materialize that, how to actualize this whole state. So the whole definition of transformation is getting new every day. In terms of the technology ecosystem, we are all well versed that the whole ecosystem of applications are changing because of the new frameworks, new language types, and new models of making it more loosely coupled and more seamlessly light. The tooling portfolio, integration workflows, I've told a couple of times, and the nature of this whole setup of technology, they are obviously going through rapid change, and hence we talk about transformation. One key factor that is actually now getting considered a lot is the skill force aspiration. With the generation Y and generation Z that we see across, there is a very low tolerance to accept mediocrity. So with the skill force, and almost 60-70% of the skill force are the new generation people, they don't accept mediocre products to work on, or maybe below standard systems to be a part of. They want to be in a system where they continuously can cater their thrust of making something exciting or making something wonderful that they would love to use. So what happens is, now with all these circumstantial, I'll say, levers in place, the evolutionary model is very difficult to stick. They somehow blend into making the evolution a bit fast. So whatever we see, they all these 5 blocks, they have the inheritance of pushing the evolution in a rapid way. But because of the existing setup and the reluctance in the mindset, somehow we have seen from time to time that we are not very much optimistic about taking that accelerated road. So usually we lie somewhere in between when we see any evolutionary companies or organizations who know what the future state is, and they are still a long way to go to that future state. Think a lot, but actually act less. So what happens is, on these kind of models or these modeled organizations and teams, they do a lot of research and they do a lot of POCs and they do a lot of brainstorming before they start actually investing on something which they could have done with a just basic scan of how the market should respond to what they are actually intending to do. So there is a reason why they are evolving with the pace that they are evolving, and that is typically the mindset of the people who are driving this evolution. That's from an evolutionary model point of view, I'll say. The first thing that we think here is that every evolution is towards the future. So whatever happens, there is always an appetite to take risk. There is always an appetite to accept what kind of risk uh, can the organization or can the company take. But typically, companies who are in the journey of evolving towards the future are in the pace of moving from slow to medium fast in the longer haul. And these are the companies who are usually mid to large size organizations holding a lot of market controls and keeping a lot of resources. So as the old proverb goes, moving elephant is always difficult with a single push. But the technology and the whole ecosystem, what we have just seen now, is now making them think and rethink daily, how can this push be accelerated? Moving on from an evolutionary model to a realistic revolutionary model, how the revolutionary companies and revolutionary teams think. The first part is, if you see on the landscape change, they believe that whatever capability we build, that could be made more better if we expose it to the public. There are good companies who are very easily, holding on to what they have built and trying to, build something better by themselves. And that's the confinement they have. But there are few setups, there are few organizations, and that's how the advent of open source has accelerated over the last decade. Uh, Once you make it public and once you keep your intellectual property open, how exactly the whole thing could materialize over a period of 1 year or maybe a few years is unimaginable. So that the market is slowly picking up, that you expose your capabilities, that is leveraged, and eventually somebody can make it much better for the next I'll say change in the way things were built for. Second is the data flow between the business technology groups. What happens is, it's all matrices. So the more clear visualization you have across BTGs, the more clarity you will have on where exactly are your choke points. And they are very quick in identifying the choke points and resolving it. So they have a very proper way of identification, which business technology division and which group, which pod in that group is confining them from what they actually want to aspire and what they actually want to achieve. And the best thing is, all revolutionary organizations who have a faith in making the future for better, they have a common objective, which is organization wide. They don't have a belief that individual groups will deliver individual products where other group could sit and just watch. So as the saying goes, individualistic cooks don't make a great dish. Sharing a common vision is actually the culture they imbibe, and that culture enables them to build revolutionary services or products, which actually is the result of their higher customer satisfaction and delight. Now the mindset, what kind of a I'll say cohort is behind this whole revolutionary step, or maybe anything that we take in terms of doing a drastic, I'll say, transformation, doing a amazing transformation. First is, they actually enjoy complexity. So they believe that complexity will somehow induce creativity in them. And that actually works for them because that creates more opportunity to learn, to build something new. That works. That indeed works. And that's how they start continuously risking what they have built. And that risk, even though it backfires 99% of the time, that 1% of success that they get matches everything that they have lost so far and surpasses that a lot of times as well. Second is they know that technology is driving business. Technology is no longer a business enabler, it is the business. They use it very well. So they try to build, systems which is worth showcasing to the world that they have done it. And with that intention, it's very, very, I'll say, exciting of an environment within the team that they want to build something which everybody will acknowledge and appreciate. That mindset gives you wonders. And the one thing that typically they believe in is the model of 0 to 1. I think we all have heard about the 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel. It's an amazing concept where the concept of vertical growth is basically taking things from 1 to n, things which already exist and is proven, maybe not that great. You can unify and you can make it more better and take it to n stage n. But actual risk and actual reward lies in taking things from 0 to 1, things which does not exist. But now you've created it, and that is giving you amazing outcome. They believe in that opportunity and they work for that. Now, what happens is if we take the sets of technology or maybe the customer delight or capabilities, we see that most of the things are actually enabling them to take this road. Technology set, when I talk about, what they consume, so they started accepting that API economy is here to stay. And the more you build and consume what is already available, I'll say the less of the time you have to invest to build things which are not built worthy. So that's the great mindset. With the enablement of whole workflows and process tools, all DevOps and I'll say all this CI/CD products, orchestration and automation is something that everybody should leverage now, and that is just making you deliver and build and experiment and fail much faster if you have to. So your appetite of seeing things that you build increases rapidly. Companies who had a plan of building something today and seeing what exactly they have built a month later can see the same build 10 times a day nowadays because of this enablement. They are leveraging this revolutionary mindset, and the revolutionary companies are, actually leveraging these capabilities to the full extent. In terms of the frameworks and languages, they are very much confident in using advanced frameworks or design their own, because they know the more they have a very end state clear in their mind, that how are their applications going to be and how exactly that is going to help them what they want to see as a final product. So they know the end state and they are very clear on their as a state. The mapping is, be it in terms of leveraging from APIs or maybe making it something new, they're ready to take that whole backlog themselves and develop it. That appetite is actually pushing them to make something bigger. So all in all, and the platforms and landscapes are something that they leverage to the full extent. So they are not someone who procrastinates or who has a pessimistic view on how these applications could be. They know that they are here, they are better maintained, and they have the appetite to experiment on that very fast. So all in all, the technology set is enabling them to take this revolutionary model and adopt it and actually deliver on top of it. Second is capabilities. Now, in terms of the capabilities, they know that the market growth is heavy. So whatever they are building on, they have a very clear picture on what the market perception of that product will be. In terms of the whole, I'll say must-haves like the change frequency, the release frequency, they have thoughtfully crafted this whole model so well that it fits their whole delivery model. And it actually enables them to make their accelerated way of building products much more reliable and their final product much more resilient. So just to add on top of it, they have a very clear picture on their skill base. They know the kind of people they like to work with. They know the kind of people who will be fit to work with. And that's the reason the common mindset of building something revolutionary come together and they work towards it. The best part of it is they now have a far better understanding of customer delight than the evolutionary model companies, because they know that this generation, the delight definition is completely different. What exactly is the delight definition for them? First is, and that's the key crux of everything that they think, easy switch. If they do not give customers on the given exact scenario where things are changing very fast year after year, the product that they should have, the customers will figure out something or somebody who can. They understand this backlog very well, so they know the time constraint, they know the restrictions of everything that could be, and they work forward to solving those restrictions and limitations in a very creative way. If you see all these factors, the only difference you see here is not in terms of technology and it's not in terms of what is available. The only difference you will experience is how the cohort or how the team or how the base of people culturally is accepting in an evolutionary model based setup versus a revolutionary based model setup. The entire acceptance of everything is different here. Moving on, how exactly do we converge? But before we go to that point, there are a few principles that we have to see. The first point is we have to understand how exactly a successful DevOps adoption and implementation works. First is everything that you can automate should not be automated. You have to understand your automation backlog as well. Things which actually will help me take away a lot of activities which are possibly done by humans, and that will give them some free space where they can start investing on things which need better time investment. Those are a very, very good case of automation. So the temptation to over automate should be properly looked into. Second is few things which are manual and should be kept manual for now, because no matter how much controls we give to the tools or how much of confidence we have in the setups, there are things which, if manually not inspected, could go wrong. Our tools are not matured enough to an extent at this point in time, 2021 I'm speaking of. Maybe in 2030 things could be different, but applications which are the business drivers, or maybe systems which are your business levers, they should have some kind of a manual checkpoint before they actually start getting consumed. And third part is tools, process, everything. Whatever you see, your applications, your tools, your integrations, your workflows, your landscape, platform, whatever, everything needs each other. So they are all stitched together. One thing will feed to other, and the other thing at the end will actually make this whole flow linear. At the end of the day, their continuous and seamless interaction between each other is what will give the customer delight a high score. If you are factoring in these three key principles while you adopt your DevOps model and start building up your DevOps principles around it, you're bound to be successful on what exactly is the implementation you are planning to do here. Few additional factors just to highlight. One is, there is always a risk for every transformation that you take, and you have to risk it. I will not push on risking it all, but you have to take calculated risk on what exactly is the opportunity versus the risk that you are willing to invest on. Second is, more about the enhanced capabilities that we have right now. So whatever add-on functionalities or maybe add-on capabilities you're adding to your application, which is inheriting a lot of integrations, that should not slow down the existing way of your business value. So if whatever you're trying to push and maybe revitalize slows down your existing supplement of customers, and that gives them some kind of a loss of faith in you, that is to be thought into. Your disruption should not disrupt your ongoing customer delight. And the key point is there should be a consistent knowledge across. So the build teams, the support teams, the maintenance teams, they should not sit on a different mindset, having their own SLOs and SLIs. They should understand that everything is unified, and at the end, everybody's working forward to the same common SLA. So if that's very much culturally imbibed in their mindset, they will look forward to the wider goal, the bigger one. Now, how do we converge the whole set that we discussed so far? We talked about evolutionary mindsets and models. We talked about revolutionary mindset, and we summarized it pretty well. That everything boils down to people. Everything boils down to how it is consumed and how it is perceived. First thing is your asset is the team. The best thing that you should do if you plan to, everybody plans to be, a revolutionary company, but do you have an appetite to it? With that appetite, don't start putting everything on your team. They are your asset. You should build up a heterogeneous mix of people who are actually seeing both the spectrum, that even though I have the capability and potential to build something revolutionary, but taking a revolutionary step here is what will help me, or vice versa. If that confidence is there amongst your team to take decisions, and if they are actually taking the right calls at the right time, you have got a very wonderful convergence of these both models. Second is, and I continuously reiterate this point, that the goal is common. You have to transform, and who are you transforming it for? Your customers. If they are not delighted of the transformation you have done, and they are not delighted by the services your transformation has brought to them, whatever you are doing is just unfruitful. So that is very much important. Do not focus much more on building an individualistic goal. That I focus more on building a product which actually has a lot of capabilities to help me out, but actually it's not enabling to any extent to any of the customers that I cater. That is not going to help. And same goes for your organization goals as well. If your organization goal is just for giving you a customer's satisfaction score, but your individual pods and individual business technology groups are catering to a different kind of a mindset where they have their own SLOs and all, that will never match the kind of result you seek. So invest in educating the whole setup, that the common goal of the organization is much, much more higher than the individual goal. And that should always be equated like that. And the third part is, every evolution that has become successful so far, every companies who have evolved wonderfully in this era of transformation, they have done it because they had the intent to do it. Whatever you are doing over the period of that whole transformation is just a validation of your transformation plan. Whatever you seek is what you actually become. So if you can imbibe the intent of transforming for a bigger cause, and that transformation is going to help everybody who is actually contributing to this whole journey, they will be much personally involved in this whole gamut of doing the transformation. Be it contextually relevant in terms of evolutionary way of doing it, or maybe revolutionary way of doing it. This mix of people is actually how they want to build your product. So don't confuse too much on what you should do, because there is always the appetite question here. But if the intent is clear on what is to be done, even a revolutionary product could be done differently, or maybe even an evolutionary journey could be taken, but at the end you will end up building a revolutionary outcome. What I'll end up my whole discussion saying, whole discussion of this topic on, is every point in time when we have an aspirational state, which you see on this screen, is basically a model where we are relaxing on a beach, and this is actually what we have promised to the customer, and this is what we are supposed to deliver. If you do not have faith on your team, and if you do not have faith in the calls they take, the decisions they take, and if actually they are not willingly taking it, the confidence will not come to them. There is no common goal within the whole team that you have built and constructed and put forward for this transformation, and the intent is not very clear within them. No matter what the end result should be, or what you think the end result is right now, or what you see the end result is, maybe the work is not as satisfactory what the end result should be, or maybe because there was something missing, the intent was missing, or maybe the way to delight customers was on a wrong definition. So believe that what you actually want to deliver and the quality of that delivery matches what exactly the whole set of convergence promises you. your whole mindset should match to the end goal. It should not be the journey. It should be part of every day in this whole process of transformation. Having said that, it's wonderful to talk to you all today. I'm very, very honored to be a part of this summit, and I look forward to you with any questions that you may have on the lounge. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I will be more than happy to take this discussion forward. Enjoy the rest of the summit and have a nice day ahead. Thank you.